Now let's add some printers to the system. Now printers are a bit of a weird one, because in Microsoft terms a printer is a piece of software. The actual thing that the paper comes out of is a print device, but that's just a little abnormality that Microsoft have. The second thing is as well, if you try to do this through the settings option, what you'll find is it doesn't work. If I go in here and I add a printer, a scanner, it'll search for a network printer, one that's been shareable by Windows. If I say it isn't listed, we get an error. But what you can do is, if you go to the good old-fashioned control panel, and I'll just do it by searching, and we go through this way, add a printer, we can do it this way. So the printer I want isn't listed, and off we go. So we're going to do this one manually, so hit manual down at the bottom there, and it asks us what port it's plugged into, and we've only got a couple of choices: good old-fashioned line printer ports, the top three there, or serial ports, those four there, or printer file, or prompt me every time. But of course modern machines tend to have TCP/IP interfaces, so what we'll do is we'll create a new port and we'll have a standard TCP port, and then you type in its IP address. I would always suggest using its IP rather than the host name. So we'll do 10.1.2.2, and you can change the port name if you want, or you can just leave it at the IP address. It will try to query the printer and select the best driver to use. Obviously this is a virtualized machine, so it'll fail and we'll have to do it by hand. So we'll hit next and let it search. That'll take a second or two to do, and because of our virtualized system it obviously hasn't found anything. So we're going to pretend we're installing an HP LaserJet. So we'll say it's an HP Jet Direct card, one of the built-in ones, not the externals, it's below. And obviously it'll try to interrogate for the make and model of the printer, and again there'll be a small pause on the virtual system until it fails, and then we'll select it manually. So it now presents us with a list of manufacturers, at which point we'll choose HP, and then a list of printer models. So we're going to go down to the DeskJets, and we're going to choose the 3540 series. I will hit next. It gives it a name. That'll do for the moment, we can change that later. And it'll ask us if we want to share it. We're not going to share it through this. We'll do it another way. It'll set as a default printer, and there's no point to printing a test page on a virtual machine. So there we have the printer showing up there, and we can bring up the printer properties of it. It tells us a little bit about the machine. It tells it the port we're on, if I make that slightly wider, and it tells us one or two other things about it out there. So the first thing we're going to do is make this printer shareable, and we're going to give it a shared name, the one that the clients are going to see, and we're going to be using some of the tricks that are built into Windows for this printer. So we're actually going to call it slow print. And we will choose the option to list it in the directory, which means it will show up in Active Directory there. The reason we've called it slow print is we're going to restrict access to this printer to only a group of people, and we're going to share it a second time with some different settings for a second group of people. So we'll head across to security, and at the moment everyone has the permission to print. We're going to remove that group from the system, and we're going to add on one of the groups that we created earlier, and again I'm just doing a blank search to find it, and we're going to use the group of Mr. Men that we have. So we'll choose a group rather than choosing each of them individually, and we're going to give them the permission to print. The group for administrators, they've got the ability to print, manage the printers, which is change the settings, and also manage other people's documents. So if there's several documents in the queue, the administrators can go and delete them even though they don't own them. So that means only the Mr. Men can print to this printer. We're going to go across to this Advanced tab, and we're going to change the priority, and what we're going to do is going to put that priority quite high, around about 34, and that actually gives them a lower priority. So if anybody comes along with a higher priority, they will jump the queue there. So we'll say OK to that, and then what we do is we add an identical printer. So isn't listed, local printer, manual settings, yeah. Our port's there this time because we added it last time around. It's still an HP DeskJet 3540. We'll use a current driver, yeah, no problem there, and we'll give it a name, so copy one will do us fine. Again, we're not going to share it instantly, and we'll finish. So now when I go to here and go to printer properties, we've got two of them. We've got the slow printer we just set up, and copy number 1, which is the one we're just configuring at the moment. We'll go to security, we'll remove everyone, and we'll add the misses. So I'll just do it this way. And all the other settings are fine. This time in advance we're going to leave the priority at 1. But we could do all sorts of things. If the printer was colour, and we could give one group of people the driver for colour, the other group of people only the printer in black and white. So we can do multiple things like that by changing drivers after here. But we've done a nice simple version, and we'll OK that. So the client will now see 2 printers available. It would do if I'd made it shareable. I've got printer properties once more. Sharing, share it, and we're going to call this one fast print. And again we're going to list it in the directory. So as I was saying, people will now see fast print and slow print, but if you're only in the misses group, you'll get to print to fast print. If you're in the men's group, you'll get to print to slow print, and it'll come out after anything that the little misses print there.